If you're playing esports fantasy right now for PCS7, you're either winning or losing because of one man, and that's going to be 22's guizeera. To give you an idea, Tiggleton put up 112 points and Snakers put up 118 in the first week, but guizeera pulled out a masterful 158. 44 kills, 6,000 damage across 15 games is absolutely nutty. We're going to tackle the impacts to PGC in a second, but first, let's take a look at the man in action. Day 3, Game 3, near the center of the map, School Apartments in Rajat. As you can see, about 16 minutes, we're having a standard School Apartments Rajat game. 54 people are still up, and 22 have a strong 2-2 split. If 22 is doing a 2-2 split, doesn't that just make it a 22? The circle does shift to the southeast, favoring 22's position. And while the last circle did give them some love, the next one places their compound right on the edge of the zone with a hard shift to the west. This leaves them right on the cusp, with half of Raw still in play and also has School. A strong compound on the edge of the zone like this means a crash could likely be coming at any given moment, and yes, that crash is going to be present third place Luminosity Game. We come into this with guizeera up on the roof, defending up against Team X that's going to be to the north, when LG slams into the eastern wall, very close to it. At this stage, 22 is presently in 6th on the overall leaderboard with only 1 kill this game. Haven then follows up and handles Luke and Penta to remove LG from the game. The next circle moves more School and the hills southeast of Raw. The north has now created a death funnel from all the players up there moving out of Raw's. 22, Team X, 4 PM, and Wildcard all on a similar path in the north. Meanwhile, Rumblers, Dodge, and Sonics are about to fight it out in School. BBB has a great Overwatch position on both locations and gets to referee the fights as they will. 22, though, is stretched into the circle with Vinny, but then realizes the opportunity that's about to happen in the north. They then start to flow in back behind Team X to try to pounce them. That fight starts off with 22 guizeera out-zeeraing Team X's cluezeera. As the circle is closing in, Team X moves back to defend against 22. guizeera then pushes between 22 smokes, spots the remaining 2, downs one, and then spray transfers over to the other. School is now leaving play as the zone is forced Rumblers north of parking lot wall and Sonics on the opposite side of it. Rumblers realizes they're going to have to make a desperate play with BBB having oversight onto this and now 22 potentially having a firing line into it as well. Los charges into the Sonics line valiantly to try to hold back Sonics so that Valiant can move. He manages to pop H1 with a nade, but as he charges in, who is it going to be? Not Sonics, but guizeera that gets the knock on. With Los' sacrifice, Valiant did manage to at least get away from the wall and get away from Sonics, but the problem is still going to be guizeera who spots him out and gets him down. Now, 4 teams up. Bing Bang Boom to the north, 4 poor men to the west of 22, between them and Bing Bang Boom. 22 playing the northeast. Then there are the Sonics, who are playing to the south, which is mostly smokes because the firing lines have all 3 teams capable of shooting it. And it's going to be 22's Vinny who goes for a peek and gets knocked by 4 PM. Realizing the opportunity, 4 PM VHZ pushes from the compound, using the hill sightlines to dodge 22's vision and spring up and rip into Haven. But it's going to be Tiggleton, fresh after rezzing Shrimzy, who hits the last shot to drop Haven. Luckily, though, with information now being given over to guizeera, who's been defending up the Sonics side of the 22 defense, guizeera knows exactly where to land the nade right on top of VHZ and stopping him from regrouping with 4 PM. A follow-up nade goes out, flushing VHZ, but then guizeera looks back to his job against Sonics, and near in the same breath, see Shrimzy knocking him as well. Tiggleton moved to the west to try to get cover, but now guizeera's position is insanely strong, with no threat to any of his open angles to the south. This allows guizeera to get the angle to finish off Tiggleton and Sonics as well. While guizeera is finishing off Sonics, Bing Bang Boom takes care of 4 PM. Unfortunately, Sharpshot getting knocked in the process. Roth realizes where 22 is positioned. He gets to a center rock right as 22 Vinny drives in to counter move around him. Roth rips him apart but doesn't get the knock as Vinny jumps out right before he can get the last shot. Then, using the still rolling car as cover, does get the last shots, dropping Roth in a valiant stand that could have gone either way. Roth did enough work into Vinny, though, that a touch from the blue zone is going to knock him as well. We are technically in a 3v2, but Roth, still being up, can provide information from his angle distant from his teammates and let them know how to line up. Using that information, Bing Bang Boom releases a ton of smokes to push close range into the remaining 2 members of 22. BBB is hoping that smoke and stealth will determine the fight to come. Even does peek through the smokes to spot out Keenan, gets the knock onto him, turning it into a 2v2. For just a moment, guizeera got spotted on the low side of the hill earlier. Him and Haven now have also realized how BBB are planning to take this fight. They move more to the north on top of the hillside, but BBB gets a read onto this. Gats, though, gets spotted as they're moving in to engage and then gets wrecked by guizeera. Sharp, just a second behind due to trying to prep utility, now peeks through a smoke in a 1v1. A quick crouch and spray coming out from guizeera finishes the whole game with 22's win. Guizeera finishes out this game with a ridiculous 13 kills in one game. 22 felt in control and aggressive for a large portion of this game. And this is still just the start of this roster playing together. We don't know where the skill ceiling for this team could be. And in just one weekend, they've now managed to push themselves up to 3rd overall and just 18 points shy of United in 1st place. And with that 1st place, I need to remind you that PCS7 gets an auto ticket to PGC in Dubai. 22 is presently 70 PGC points ahead of the next LATAM team in Young Kings. Lots of pressure on the shoulders of a player in his first PCS event ever. Time will tell if we have a superstar or just an amazing week. Well, he's on my fantasy team, so it tells you what I think. PCS7 is going to be wrapping up this week, and we're finally going to know who's going to be going to PGC in Dubai and who is going to have to wait and dream of next year. Make sure you tune in to PCS7 this weekend to find out.